for week 3 of the college football predictions, and will Joe Milton get benched again in Gainesville? You ready, Tater?
Yeah, I'm always ready, man.
Tennessee, Florida.
Oh, yeah. We're going all the way down there. Okay.
Tennessee, Florida, SEC. Because if Florida don't win this, I think they're done. They probably won't pull fourth fiddle. But I think Tennessee is open to losing this game in Gainesville. Because the first 2 games, I went and looked at some of their offense.
Yeah.
They look pretty pitiful against...
What do you think, Tater?
Let me throw
I know you're going with the Gators, but...
let me throw a couple things at you.
Okay.
First of all, Joe Milton said he never lost in Florida. Motherfucker got benched in Florida. Okay. Last time he played a football game in Florida at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, he got benched because Florida was beating their ass so bad. Florida played Joe Milton in 2018 when he was still on the Michigan team. Beat that ass then.
Okay.
Right. Tennessee has only won in Gainesville 5 times since 1953.
Okay.
They haven't won in Gainesville since 2003. It's been 20 years.
Oh, so they're due is what you're saying.
Yeah, they are due. I think a couple things. I think Joe Milton's ass. I don't think he's really that good of a quarterback. He's got a strong arm. He's athletic. He's basically what Anthony Richardson was for Florida last year. Super athletic, can throw the ball a mile. But when it comes to just being an everyday quarterback, managing the game, he's not very good at it.
So you're saying he's trash.
What about the Florida D here? Are they able to slow down Tennessee enough to make it a 24-21 game?
Well, currently we have the number 3 defense in the nation.
So they could pull the upset on Tennessee.
I think so. I think if we control the game and we can run the ball, we could win this game easily.
Well, I'm sticking with my methods. I went with the odds. I picked Tennessee.
That's fine.
Nothing personal. Because honestly, I wanted to pick Mississippi State Bulldogs against LSU, but I didn't.
That's a question mark, but I think LSU will pull it off.
I think LSU is going to beat them, but they got the odds, so I went with LSU.
Yeah. All the metrics, all the advanced stats, everything out there says that Tennessee should beat Florida.
Yeah, because most of these there's only a couple of close picks, odds wise. The only one this week is Pittsburgh against West Virginia, which is a 58 to 42%.
I got.
Oh, hey. She's even wearing a fucking bright green vest. I still didn't see her.
Jesus Christ. I told her to take that vest off 2 hours ago.
What you doing? School crossing guard?
No.
I also picked the Tennessee Florida game.
Manager meets staffing lady.
Oh, really? I also chose 69 points.
Sorry, branch manager. I've been corrected.
Branch manager.
There you go.
You got to get that right. Damn it.
Who did you? I'm sorry, Smitty. I'm totally off track here. Who are you picking?
I picked Tennessee over Florida, but I went because that's also the game you're supposed to pick points on, and I picked 69 points. But now I'm not so sure they're going to score that high. But I don't know.
They could. The potential is there. I think if Florida gets into a shootout, we lose.
Agreed. Yeah, their defense is going to have to hold.
Yeah. I think if we can get some early stops, because Tennessee likes to go fast. I don't know if you know this, Smitty. They run roughly 3 plays per minute, which is the fastest in the country.
Oh, they just hurry up offense all the time, from start to finish.
Yeah, that's Josh Heupel's whole thing. He comes from that tree of offensive minds, coaches.
Okay.
They look very sluggish right now, though.
The problem with that is if you run into a team, and this is what happened to Tennessee last year when they played Georgia, they ran into a team that could stop them and get 3 and outs, and then they wear down your defense very quickly. your defense is on the field for the entire first half,
Right.
You're tired.
Because you keep going 3 and out with your offense.
Right. And that's probably what Florida's whole goal is: get a couple early stops and have some long, drawn out drives to wear them down. That would be my game plan.
Well, if you got the number 3 defense in the country.
Currently.
Well,
right.
but regardless, if you're number 3, that's pretty fucking high up on the list as far as the defenses are concerned. Then I gotta say you're leaning on them pretty hard to make those stops.
Yeah, and I will say this: our defense looks a lot better. Other than in the Utah game, outside of that first play that went for 76 yards or whatever, they pretty much Utah didn't do much of nothing. The points came off of just a turnover and some other bad plays.
So. All right, so are those the only 2? So and also you got TCU against Houston, but
I think Georgia won't cover the line on South Carolina. Oh, we're playing in Athens. It'd be close. I don't.
Athens. What's the line?
Kirby will have them up for that game.
I would assume.
Yeah.
Although
it's really weird. Like even last year, you remember when they went to Missouri last year, and they almost got beat.
It's Missouri.
No, it's just like Georgia sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes they play down to their competition.
Well, that's what I was saying. It's like the Braves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same
we
thing.
lose to the shit teams.
It's a Georgia thing. I don't know why.
Well, it's college football is weird, but it's just I'm trying to think of 2021. I think they pretty much murdered everybody in 2021, though.
Yeah, we rolled in 21.
But like 2019, they lost to a pitiful South Carolina team in 2019, which was really weird.
What do you think about the Minnesota-North Carolina game after the North Carolina performance last week?
I haven't had a chance to really watch Minnesota, but I'd probably still pick North Carolina there. The other day, I was looking, since we have a Syracuse game? Yeah. Syracuse and Purdue.
Yeah.
And Dino Babers has been at Syracuse for 8 years now. And I was like, holy crap, he's been there that long already? I thought he was just hired like 3 years ago. And he came from, I think he came out of the same like coaching tree as Heupel and Leach and those guys. But he's done pretty good at Syracuse, and he's a good coach. I would pick Syracuse in that game. I don't know who's at Purdue right now, because Jeff Brom went to Louisville. He's got Louisville kind of rolling.
Do you think, back to football real quick, number 8 Washington against Michigan State, even though the head coach ain't going to be there, they're in Michigan? You think Michigan State?
Washington. It's Washington or Washington State?
Washington.
No, Washington's got that game.
In Michigan. Okay.
Easily. It's not even close.
Oh,
and I don't know if I said he was fired, but I don't know if he's fired or suspended. I don't fucking know. Sorry, go ahead, Smitty.
Yeah. No, you're fine. What I'm bringing up is kind of irrelevant, but I'm talking about football still, so I thought it was relevant.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
The Alabama game. So the Alabama game, that was the first game they'd lost at home since like 1982 or some shit. It's been like forever since they've lost it. They had like one of the longest home stands ever. But their quarterback, that dude's freaking athletic. That Alabama quarterback, that kid is quick as shit. I was watching him. We were watching that game. I was like, God damn, he got them out of that game would have been so much worse had it not been for that quarterback running when he did.
How much of the game do you watch?
Watched all of it. I mean, it was on the whole time. We watched the whole game, but.
Okay, so I didn't watch the game. So Florida was on at the same time, so I watched the Florida game.
Yeah.
For me, the Alabama defense looked soft. It's probably not the best adjective for it. It did not look like a reminiscence Alabama defense. It wasn't hard hitting. They looked slow, out of position.
Well, their cornerbacks or whatever were getting beat left and right because there was a lot of deep balls from Texas.
Pause. There's a lot that goes into that, but having not watched the game, I don't know what kind of defense they were running, whether it was they were running
their
man
typical
coverage. I mean, they typically run like a man coverage or bracket type zone coverage.
Yeah. And they were getting beat. They were getting beat left and right.
Yeah. And you got two guys that are allegedly top 2-round NFL draft picks out there at cornerback. So it makes me wonder, what did they get any pressure on the quarterback at all?
Yeah, that quarterback was
not on Alabama, but I'm saying Alabama's defense on Texas.
Not like they normally do.
Not like they should have been. He was pretty free because he's not a runner, and he's like ranked like number 128 out of 130 quarterbacks or something. He had a very low rating, so I didn't expect them to do what they did. But the offense worked for him. I guess I guess it's a credit to the coaching.
His first game must not have been great because Quinn Ewers, man, he's a first-round draft pick next year probably.
They rated him awfully unless I heard it wrong, but they didn't rate him very well before the game.
They could have been talking about QBR, and QBR is weird.
Yeah, I don't know what they were talking about, but it was like he was like 128 out of 133 or something, and I was like, oh well, this guy's not any good. But man, he laid some balls out there that were perfect, and I was like, damn. And Alabama had quite a few.
Nothing like perfect balls.
They had quite a few penalties on the defense. Defense was fucking up left and right with pass interference and holding and all kinds of shit. So they had quite a bit of calls against them, especially for being at home in Alabama.
Yeah.
That's just my take, my very uninformed take on all of it.
I'm not really surprised, to be honest with you.
Alabama did make a run towards the middle of the game. They came back, they were really losing, and then they came back and they took the lead for a while, and then Texas just came back and took it all.
I just think that college football as a whole is more talented. Like the recruiting is more spread out because of the transfer portal. I think there's more parity. I think teams are able to get difference makers easier now with the transfer portal, and Texas has done a good job. There's a lot of teams that TCU's one of those teams that they made a run last year. And I think that has hurt teams who, for the most part, solely rely on high school recruiting and development, such as Alabama. And Georgia being really good hasn't helped at all. And, so a lot of that plays a factor. I just don't think they're, even despite their recruiting rankings, maybe they're just not as talented as they once were. Now, however, I will say this, they are very young in a lot of places. I know that for a fact.
Well, to me, it's just such a mix. It's such a parody because of the NFL, because everybody in the NFL is a professional football player. They've already proven, and they're all playing against the same level, technically, professional football players. Whereas with so many different college teams, and the ones that do recruit and the ones that can't, the ones who have money, the ones who don't, and the likable football schools and the ones that aren't. I mean, you get routes like you're not going to see in the NFL typically every weekend a 75-3 game, or you know what I mean? It's these poor teams go out there just to make money, like fucking Georgia and Ball State. There's no reason those two teams should be playing each other. Ball State is not a damn football college, but they get money. They get $1 million for just being in the game. So why wouldn't they play? You know what I mean?
However, in 2008 or 2009, somewhere in there, Ball State did go 12-0 in the regular season. I know that.
Well, I remember my mom was telling, because my mom went to Ball State, And she was like, back when she went to it, back in the 50s, 60s, it was Ball State Teaching College. That's all it was. It was just a teacher's college. They didn't even have a football team.
Yeah.
So she's like, I don't even think they had one.
That's like Furman. Furman used to be an all-girls school.
Did it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I don't know which way you went on this, Smitty, but you do what you want. But Missouri is probably going to lose that game against Kansas State.
Thanks.
It's just saying.
Thanks, pal.
No problem.
You know I picked the odds. That's the way it's going.
I did pick the underdog in the LSU Mississippi State game.
Man, I am so close to picking that, but
I did it for you, Smitty. I did it for you. You go ahead. You pick the other way. You go ahead.
Well, me and you.
We won't tell Heather. We won't tell her.
I can't tell her that.
Wait, which one? Hold on. Which one do y'all? She's Mississippi State or she's an Ole Miss?
It doesn't matter.
Mississippi in general. You don't pick against
her. So her sister Amanda, she went to Mississippi State, and her husband is an Ole Miss fan.
I was gonna say, I know she doesn't really care about sports like that.
No. Amanda is a Mississippi State Bulldogs fan, even though because she went to high school not far from Ole Miss. They actually graduated at Ole Miss from high school. They used the Ole Miss grounds for graduation. And she's a Mississippi State fan. Because whenever I go to Mississippi, now I actually stay in Oxford, which is where Ole Miss is, not far from the campus, is where we usually stay when we go to Mississippi to see her dad now.
Yeah. That's interesting. Going back to the whole transfer portal thing, like the high school is the same way. Like you got Buford High School in Georgia. And for no reason at all should that school be as good and or as big as it is. And they got the number one QB in all of high school football in the nation who transfers in. Yeah, he transfers in the offseason. All right, this just goes to show.
What year is he?
He'll be in Georgia's class this coming year.
Oh, he's a senior.
Yeah, he's a senior. Yeah. Like, that doesn't make any sense. How and why is that allowed to happen? This is from out of state.
So
it's not like
somebody
he went up
caught
the street.
word that he was good, and somehow he got transferred to.
And this
Buford.
this is not uncommon. So Jake Garcia, who is another quarterback, he's currently, I forget what school he's currently at. He was at Miami. He was in California. I think at the time he was the number one quarterback in California coming out of high school. Number one or number two, something like that. He's very high. Transfers to either Lowndes or Valdosta. And at some point, something happened where they deemed like his transfer like no good or something like that. I don't remember what happened. But then he transfers to another school. What school did he transfer to? In Georgia. It was another school in Georgia. I think up near, it was either Buford or another one of those schools. Plays his senior season. And then, if I'm not mistaken, he went to Miami, and I'm almost positive he transferred out of Miami and went somewhere else. It's just like these motherfuckers just keep moving and moving and moving. And I think that you've opened a can of worms that you almost can't put back in the bag. It would be very difficult. And then the other thing is Jason, I don't know if you saw this, the kid from North Carolina whose waiver got denied.
Which one?
Tez Walker. He's a player for North Carolina, and he transferred there. I don't remember the circumstance, but if I'm not mistaken, it was a family matter.
Yeah.
And so he transferred there, and he had to get a waiver because he had already, I guess maybe he had already transferred once. I'm not sure but it got denied. right? So the NCAA denies this guy's fucking waiver. But yet you have JT Daniels, who has played at USC, he's played at Georgia, he's played at West Virginia, and he's currently at Rice.
Didn't he play at Missouri for a moment, or am I mistaken?
You may be correct. This may be his fifth school. He's been in college. He's like fucking Van Wilder. He's like Stetson Bennett of fucking college. He's been in college for 7 years.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. I don't get it. I don't know the rule very well either, but it just don't make sense. I mean, either you're going to move on or you're going to.
I think they opened up a whole can of worms and they don't know how to put it back in the bag.
Yeah, I think between the portal and the rule changes with the NCAA about the money, it's really injected some parity and helped the smaller school. And the smaller schools like Rutgers really showed up, and they look like they got a legit football team. Now, how they last in the fourth quarter against a Georgia or Alabama team, something like that, it'd be interesting to see.
I think Greg Schiano went back and coached. I think he's the coach there. You remember he had them real good. Oh man, it was back in the early 2010s. He had Rutgers like pretty good, like almost to the point at the time. I think they were in a smaller conference. They were in like the equivalent of like Conference USA or something like that. And they like almost won their conference one year. And then he got what job did he fucking get? He got the Tampa Bay job. Yeah, Tampa Bay Buccaneers job. And he was there for a couple years. And then left there. He got hired by Urban Meyer. He was at Ohio State.
How the fuck do you remember all this shit?
It's his hobby. And he does a good job with that hobby.
Yeah, no.
This is my thing. But do you remember? No. Remember Tennessee was going to hire him. You remember the big uproar in Tennessee about you don't remember this shit? Oh,
no. It was volunteers. I don't know.
This was national news. Okay, for y'all can't make fun of me because it was national
I'm not making fun of you.
News.
I'm impressed.
Right? The students and the fans were in such an uproar because of something Greg Schiano did fucking 30 years ago or some shit.
Say it ain't so.
Instead of hiring Greg Schiano, that's when they hired Jeremy Pruitt. And Pruitt proceeded to shit the bed and get them NCAA violations.
So they chose poorly.
Remember, Jason, I think we talked about this. The McDonald's bag cash.
Yes, I remember the bag of cash.
Yeah, bag of cash in the Mickey D's bag, like Happy Meal shit. Like, here you go, high school kid, have a Happy Meal. There's $15,000 in there.
Yikes.
And that is still illegal to this day.
Hey, it ain't so. Please, if anybody has any questions or comments, hit us up at primecohesion@gmail.com or head to our Facebook page at Prime Cohesion on Facebook and leave some comments. We'd appreciate it.